session the day after Easter. We're probably on some sort of post-Easter brunch, lunch, dinner. If you had relatives in the morning, they probably left not too many hours ago. But in any case, hey, thank you all for attending this session, which is labeled, as I look at the full sheet here, Maximizing Opportunities for Community Partners, Federal Work-Study Programs, Best Practices. And my name is Bob Gomez. I'm the Associate Director of the Career Center, which is upstairs and across from Starbucks. Briefly, I've been a part of the university for about 33 years plus, and I've been part of the center since that time. I have worked in just about every area of the Career Center, from graduate school planning, career development, employer relations, internship programs. So I have served pretty much every duty that can be done there. My portion of this session is really to talk about the arrangements in terms of receiving the off-campus work-study agreement and how we handle that once it does come into our office, and then I'm going to turn it over to Penny from Financial Aid, who will go into more depth about it. Along the way, I'll also touch a little bit upon the services that we have in the center for employers, and that would include nonprofits, especially where you're looking for, let's say, volunteer opportunities that would be outside of the realm or beyond just field study. Through our office, we do offer the opportunity to post listings for free, which are full-time, part-time. We do post internships and volunteer opportunities year-round. And everything that comes into our office or gets posted is reviewed and screened beforehand, but we'll go over that a little bit more of that in a second. For most people who have off-study, work-study agreements with the campus, the first part usually starts with us either as a referral directly from Financial Aid, where they're told to contact our office and myself in particular, or they'll go directly to our site. And that is trying to receive information in terms of receiving that agreement. The agreement for most people is going to be found in this strange slide here that got partly cut off, and I'll kind of wing through it here. Okay. For people who are checking online, we have everyone go through, our our ZotLink account. For those people who have posted positions with us before, and this also includes work study, it's a matter of just going to that particular site, and like I said, this is, well, imagine on the other side here, there's a third slide that says employers, and see, when you're working in Windows XP in an old version of a PowerPoint, working in a new version gets you a little thrown off. So anyway, if you can all imagine, there's a third section over there, which would be for employers, and employers would log in there. This is great. Half of this is here, so let me tell you what should be below this. There is a link that says off-campus work study, which would be, if this extended down, it'd be about, you can just barely see it, just says off-campus work study agreement. That is a link, we have some post-it notes that'll get you to our site. That is a link that you can go to, and it'll provide basic information, and you can actually download as a PDF form the off-campus work study agreement. It would be, right now, it would be for 2013-14. The new agreement won't be up until after, probably towards late July, once we get any final review or edits based on from the federal government in terms of work study agreements. Let's see what half page we get this time. Yes, there's that half a page. It says off-campus federal work study. This is all information which is just general information in terms of providing the information in terms of what it is, the details behind it. If we had the full screen here, you would see all the necessary information in terms of off-campus federal work study. The one thing that people should know is that once you receive this contract, there's full instructions, and I brought some actually with me today, so if you wanted to take that, and I have plenty for everyone. It's pretty detailed in terms of just reminding you what needs to be completed, what needs to be signed, and what needs to be attached and either sent back to us, preferably by mail. We'll take a fax copy of that or electronic version, but we'll definitely need an official version of that contract for financial aid records. But all that comes to our office for review. And we will review every contract in terms of making sure that it is signed. If there have been any edits made to it by an agency or organization, we will call and ask about those edits. If there's some questions about that, we'll talk to our partners in financial aid to make sure that that these are going to be okay, and if not, why. We'll make sure that there is all the attachments that need to be there. The most important one is a copy of nonprofit status, which is provided by, most cases, by the IRS, which is probably the most important document besides the actual agreement that is signed. Okay. Once that is all received by our office and we compile that, we make sure we'll walk it down to financial aid. We don't have, to be honest with you, we don't have a ton of organizations that post for off-campus work-study agreements, and this is something that we're trying to certainly spread the word on and make people more aware of. But every agreement that does come to us, we'll walk that to financial aid. Financial aid will review it internally, make sure that all the necessary information is there, that everything is signed and sealed and delivered. It is approved by the Director of Financial Aid or not approved. If it's not approved, then they'll be in contact with us to find out, to let us know why. Okay? We do some pre-screening on the front end with organizations. Right now, off-campus work study is primarily for nonprofit organizations. There was a time when it was kind of opened up to everyone, but that became problematic. And so it has been limited to nonprofits only. We have a lot of organizations who, when they looking for students, and if they go online, they start checking off every box. Well, we probably get anywhere between 20 or 30 employers a quarter who will identify as an off-campus work study agreement or a work study, and in most cases, it is not going to be approved, and we'll tell them why. And usually the reason they do that is because they get click happy. They just start marking every box on the form and then they submit. So we do a lot of pre-screening on our end just to make sure that the employer knows, the organization knows exactly what they're signing up for. We try to answer any questions so that that is as smooth as possible. Okay, I think that I'm out at this point. Oh, well, here's half of a login for our Zotlink account. If you're setting up your account for the first time, let's say it's the first time you've actually posted an off-campus agreement, we will provide you with instructions and information in terms of how you can go online now and go ahead and post that. For an organization that we've had for years, which is Think Together, it's a no-brainer for them in terms of updating their account. Everything's done online. It's a nice system once you get a hang to it. For most nonprofits, especially who are dealing with agencies online, or you have your own online application, this is not going to be totally new. You have an account, it is updated yearly, you maintain that, you control that, you can control everything in terms of the content of it, in addition to how you receive resumes and or other information from students for the position that you're posting for. We get the bulk of our inquiries for off-campus work study between summer and fall, and that drops off. We get very, very little interest by the time we get into middle of winter quarter and definitely in spring. And at that point in the game, it's probably not going to work. So that's a quick snapshot on off-campus work study and how the Career Center is involved with it. Again, if you are looking at something outside of off-campus work study, you have a part-time front desk position, you have a full-time opportunity, and if you've never posted it through our office before, you could do that. You could certainly, just go to career.uci.edu, and I have some little post-it notes here as a little reminder. You can go to Zotlink, and if it's setting up your account for the first time, you can go ahead and follow the instructions on that. Probably take you maybe 10, 15 minutes on the front end. There's a short approval process. You can post your position after your initial registration is complete. And then once you have posted a job, you know, it goes through a quick review. Every job that we see that gets posted at UCI, again, full-time, part-time, work study, non-work study, volunteer, we review every one. It takes probably a half a day for us, but we find that that's something we just need to do because there are jobs out there, I should say, there's organizations or people out there who will post positions and they're not totally legit. And so we do a lot of screening on the front end, and that's really to kind of protect our students as much as possible. And we probably eliminate anywhere between, you know, about 10 to maybe 15% of jobs that are posted every day that are just not real jobs, as we would call them. Okay. So again, if you're interested in off-campus work study or just posting your opportunities at UCI, please remember to contact us at career.uci.edu. I have post notes here, and at this point, I'm going to turn over to Pam. Oh, good. All right, I'm going to leave this here. No problem. Oh, you're going to hear me talk to Daphne. Sorry about that.
You're not recording this, are you, or you are? Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah, really. Okay, I don't even know how this works. Hold this. Okay. Can you hear me? All right, again, thank you for coming today, and happy day after holiday, Easter, Passover. Today's Making Connections, real important about work study. There are some things work study isn't, and there are some things work study is. There's a lot of myths wrapped around work study. So I'm here to dispel some of those myths. My name is Penny, so you can remember, Penny Financial Aid. We also brought some pens for you with the website on it, and I brought kind of a tip sheet on how to calculate work study and what work study should be used for. The federal government gives the University of California, Irvine about $1 million a year for work study. And for about 18,000 students, that's not a whole lot of work study dollars. So we try to maximize who gets those awards and try to give them to needy students, and we try to give it to students that are not freshmen. Freshmen have a hard enough time just coming and getting used to the quarter system, and so we try to give it to the continuing students and such that are really used to the quarter system and have kind of mastered being a student. We have several, we have the non-profit work study. We do have for-profit, we just haven't had one in a long, long time. And the for-profits are tricky, as Bob said, that they cannot be positions for, well, are any of you in here for profit? I won't even bore you with all that then. Okay, for nonprofit, let's go there. The for-profit is complicated, and if you were for profit, I would talk to you about that. The nonprofit, we like very much, as Bob talked about, Tom Leonard's group, the Think Together. Tutors, readers, math tutors, reader tutors, family, actual people that work with families, helping them learn to read and help their kids with homework. Any of those kinds of positions are awesome. And those are funded by 100% by the federal work study program. So that means your student would be paid 100% out of the federal funds, and you would have a 15% surcharge that you would pay back to UCI for handling the payroll and such. What happens is we have to bill you, we have to do the payroll timesheets, and we get audited routinely, so we have to manage all that in our office. But you could get 100% paid. If not, if the job isn't one of those, if it's more helping you do some kind of research or pulling office stuff together, that would be a 75-25 split, which means we would pay 75% out of the federal account, you would contribute 25% out of your coffers, and then a 15% surcharge on top. So that one becomes like a 40% to you cost, but you're getting 100% employee. The biggest thing about work study to me is getting the right student to the right place for the right job. You shouldn't be trying to hire somebody to replace a work person. You shouldn't be using a work study to have a secretary or to replace somebody that should be working. And I know that's very, very tempting for a lot of nonprofits, is to get extra people in there. What really you should be thinking of is getting someone in there that can really, really make a difference in your organization by taking on special projects, something very special that you'll never get to. that with a work study student you could get to, whether that's outreach or whatever you're trying to do. And what's really nice is, and we've done this for some departments, you may contact us and we can check with majors. There are students with different majors you might be interested in, or students with a particular interest, and we can focus and tell you which ones have work study, and you can do outreach to those students. And that's a good way. The biggest problem I find with work study is that you have to find a student that has work study that is willing to go to your off-campus site, work the hours, and then do their school schedule on top of it. Sometimes that connection is very hard. A lot of times they want to stay on campus so they don't have to deal with parking and driving and such. So it's not a perfect marriage as far as that goes. But we have students here that love to go to the Think Together program, which is off campus, and they just love everything about that program, and they'll go there as much as they can to help out. So if you get the right person in the right position doing the right project, it can really be a bonus for you all. And they would have the work study possibly for 3 to 4 years. So you wouldn't just have that student for 1 year, you could have them for a couple of years. So if you had a long-term project, you could really use them for that. So basically that in a nutshell, what financial aid does is we try to reach out to the community. We just don't have enough resources to get out there. So you folks are the connectors for us. You're the ones that can come and talk to Bob about an off-campus contract, or call our office about questions about work study. But we would love to work with you to get some community service type jobs out there. The government smiles greatly on financial aid offices that have community service jobs, which means they're out there doing something for the community, giving back to the community, which is all what you all do. And the more jobs we have like that, the better we look in the eyes of the government, the more money we could get down the road. So all of it works together if we can work together and try to find more jobs out there. Like Bob said, once you get it set up, it would just be a rollover each year of tweaking a little bit of language here and there, and you're good to go. It's just getting that first contract through, getting those first students set up, and then getting a feel for the program and how you want it to run. So we've got a lot of success stories and a lot of students who want to go and be in community service jobs after their experiences. So we know that they've had a good learning experience out there. What else was I going to share with you? Students are students first, so that's another issue with students. We want them to do well in school. We want them to keep their GPA up, so we don't want them to be working to the point where they lose sight of homework and classes and they get behind. So we usually say 10 hours a week, 20 hours max, okay, for a student. And depending on their awards, which right now the awards fluctuate between $1,500 and $2,000 or $2,500, that can go really quickly. If you pay them $9 or $10 an hour, that can burn up the money quickly. If you pay them $8 or $9 an hour, you at least have to pay the minimum wage, and they have to be paid at least every 2 weeks. So those are the federal regulations. They have to have a signed timesheet, so whoever's supervising them must sign the timesheet. We did have an audit a few years ago where one timesheet wasn't signed, and it really puts a dark cloud over the whole program. Unfortunately, just one timesheet out of hundreds that we have. But you want to make sure that supervisor is vouching for that student's work in their area. We like the job to be something that the student is, for some students it's their first job. So although it's wrapped around their school schedule, we still want them to be responsible. They need to dress the way you want them to dress. They need to show up when you need them to show up. They need to call in sick, take time off, just like any other employee would do, because you're grooming them for the future. You're grooming them for a future job down the road, and so they need to know this is how a professional works in the workplace. So you're kind of their first teacher in the way of a job. And they're nervous, and they're usually, the best workers we've had in our office are the ones that are kind of shy in the beginning, and we watch them grow over the years, and they just become real assertive young adults. Let's see what else I have on my list here. Not everyone gets financial aid. Financial aid, like I said, is based on, when they do the FAFSA, it's based on their need. It's based on how it's really low income students we give this to. So rather than putting loans on those students, we give them a chance to work to help pay for their education. So not everyone gets it. So you might find people that are interested and they say, well, I want to get work study. Well, they may not be eligible for work study. So it's that marriage of the students receiving the work study to the job that you have out there. So it takes a little bit of coordination, but it can be done. So with connecting and working together, we can make it happen. So do you all know Tom Leonard? We keep talking about him. He's had a successful program for 20 years plus something. So he's a really good person to talk to about setting up a program. The other thing is these students are representing UCI at your organization, so if there's any disciplinary action or any bad behavior, they will immediately have their financial aid award removed, and you will have to let them go. So we've had maybe one in 20 years. So basically the kids are great. Now, so did we want to go to questions or? Yeah. Okay, yes.
County government, are they an organization that can offer?
Like, for example, give me a department.
The public defender's office?
Sure, we've had some with the public defenders.
Okay.
Sure. We've had, probably over the years, we've had a couple, 1 or 2 students. Yeah, no, anytime they're helping out with the community. Yeah, that counts. The only time you can't really use a work study is at a church or at a political campaign. You can't use them for, well, the separation of church and state. There's the Constitution and all that stuff. You cannot mix them into political agendas or religious. They can't work at a church, so to speak.
I know you mentioned having that verification for the 501c3. We wouldn't have that document. Is there another good place for that?
We've
We
had
have like a letter from our auditor controller saying.
probably that's what we've used because I don't think if you don't have one, we can't make you get one. So we probably use something of that nature. Gosh, I don't know. It's been so long.
Yeah, the city would, something from the city manager or the controller's office.
Okay.
But that would replace the 12 documents.
Yes.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Kenny Wayne from Social Ecology Referencing Services, and I was curious, I stepped in and out with Minthop, where's the list of off-campus sites that we as employers on this campus could possibly refer these students to, or should we just send them to the person?
Well, this really isn't a list right now because we have, if you call me, we have a whole 2. So that's something that I know that for the last 2 or 3 years, we've been trying to branch out and make more people aware of it. But it's not like there is a long list, and I'm not comfortable about putting a list of 2 people.
No. I think from this group, from this session that you guys do, if you collectively could get together and put some jobs out there, it probably would be a big go far to show that there are jobs in the community. The problem we have are students are always looking for work and they say there are no jobs. So if the jobs aren't posted or out there, then they can't apply, which then takes the whole program down a notch,
But, Think Together is one of your 2, because that's also
Yes.
on field sites. So basically, the students trying to do their field studies for 95 there, they would have to make sure they split if they're also off campus or work study site. Like, let's say they're doing their 10 hours a week for field study, and then another 8 to 10 based on their financial aid work study package. They have to make sure by contract that they are clearly delineated in terms of what they're doing. It's different from each.
And when if they're at Think Together in particular, Tom is very good about filtering those students out, and it's not common for a student with work study to ask about that question because that comes up not just with field study, but it comes up with other issues too.
And what about the timesheets? Who is that submitted to?
The timesheets are submitted to the financial aid office, and right now it's Janet Nichols. She'll be retiring in June, so we'll have a new number and face there. But the timesheets do go direct. She does the hiring of the employees. She does the timesheets, and she works with whoever the connection or the community point person is about any issues that come up or anything. So they would go and you can use your own timesheet. You can use one that we've come up with, but you must turn them in. They must be signed. And you must be signing that you definitely know they were there and that they were working. If you were to get audited and we sent them out to your program, you'd want to make sure that you indeed saw that student and they worked in your area, or their supervisor is definitely a point person who can vouch that they were there and what they were doing.
And lastly, transportation costs would not be included or part of Workstudy.
You know, that's a real interesting question, Kemi, thank you. The transportation is supposed to be a part of work study. It's in the realm of what we can pay for. The problem is figuring it out, because if they have to come to school anyway, and they have to go back to school, what kind of transportation are we talking about? How many miles are we talking about? How many, you know, how much gasoline are they using and such? So we've not had any students really ask for that, or even any of the off-campus sites even entertain that, because it's a lot of tracking of mileage and keeping, you know, track. And I don't know, it can be done, we just never have done it. So that would be my question too. It's something to look into. If they have to travel far, I would say that would be something to definitely look into. It's a measure of the program, it's just not something we've ever had to, you know, engage in. Anything else? Yes?
Question for Bob.
Oh, yeah. You should get up here, Bob.
Zotlic is a great resource for the county lawyers. We post a lot of positions and internships. I see it from our end when I fill it out, but do you have any pointers for what students are looking for and how they do their searches? How we can better attract and
Sure.
provide them with enough information and.
Yeah, I think that one thing that is always good is make sure that there's a very clear description in terms of the duties and responsibilities. If you're posting an internship, you know, the essence of the internship should be, you know, an opportunity that will be, you know, related to one's career goals or to their major, especially if it's a professional degree. Where some organizations don't do as well as they'll have a posting, you know, marketing intern, description, general duties is assigned by the marketing coordinator. Period. And a student reads that and says, what is this? So the more it can be defined, especially when you're getting into an internship as opposed to just a general part-time job, understanding that the internship, much like creating a, you know, a good off-campus work study position, should be project-based, should have good supervision. It should be something that will be a learning experience for the student as opposed to something that is just a JOB, just a job. Little tricks that you could do is that I would say we can go back in. You can go into your listing and repost it every week. So at the beginning of each week, if you repost it, what happens is that since everything is in chron order, and you can only imagine if we get on the average between 40 and 60 postings a day. You can break that up various categories. Right now, we're seeing probably more in the area of summer jobs are starting to come online, part-time positions and internships. But after a week, your listing's going to be buried down maybe on page 3 or 4. Okay? So if you go in and update it, okay, it will refresh and it'll go back up to the top of the queue. So once we go in and improve it, it will be a new posting for that day, but it's really not new. It's just been updated. So doing little things like that gets you a little bit more visibility, because the reality is that students don't spend a whole lot of time looking at anything online unless it's personal. You know, so you got to be a little clever, a little tricky about it. Just okay, let me update this information. Sometimes it's even just in the wording that people put in that description. If people are having a real difficult time, one of the things that when we talk to people over the phone is to call us. Let's take a look at that listing one more time, because it may be just the very brief nature of description. Some people get a little crazy and have 4 paragraphs of detail. They don't read it. Students don't read that information. So trying to find the sweet spot in terms of both content and title, sometimes people need a little extra assistance, and that's why we're there.
Yeah, one thing I would add to that, sometimes in our office we use students so they're a really bright spot in saying, oh yeah, that sounds interesting, or maybe if you said this, it would attract more people. So never hesitate to use younger or students or whatever to look at your stuff. It's a great resource that's untapped a lot.
And just to follow up on that, let's say you've had a posting up for 2 weeks and you have 2 people. If you call us and ask us, what are things that we can use, we can go in and see how many times that actual listing was viewed. So like for us right now, we have a position for a Workstudy student for next year that's posted right now. There have been over 200 views. We've had 4 applicants. So it makes us go back and go, okay, let's go back and look at the description, because maybe we're too wordy. Maybe what we're asking for this, but we're only going to get this. So we can do that. We can view that so that, you know, for you as an agent, you want to know, well, God, how many people view this? You know, could be a couple hundred. It could be 2 people. So, you know, that in itself can tell us a little bit about, you know, what people are looking at or not.
Any other questions?
Very basic question, because all of this is very new to me. So the internships and the work study, are they totally separate, or are there some interns, like, to get work study?
Yeah, it's a combination. There are, at a place like, Tom,
Yeah.
too bad he's not
He's
here.
not-
He's
he's
all
not
kinds of
here,
press.
but-
You know, a place like Think Together, you know, I would say that many of the positions they have there would constitute as being an internship. And in some of those cases, they will, you know, it would qualify as a work study position. So they could be one and the same, it depends on the agency. If we're looking at it just from our vantage point in terms of overall, you know, we can, you know, like for for-profit organizations who post internships, we'll look at that very carefully to make sure that it's, you know, it's an internship and not a part-time job, or it's replacing someone else in a given organization, because that's a problem, and it's really not allowable as far as we can describe that. So, you know, we'll go through that to make sure that, you know, it's posted as an internship, if somebody says an internship, and that's, for us, that's kind of a red flag anyway, because we get a little, it's first time posting, we want to make sure that it is what it is, and not something mass is something else. But it's, for nonprofits, especially posting for whether it be, you know, work study or intern, you know, I would say that most of those positions that are posted would constitute, you know, generally as an internship. Now, of course, if they have an agreement, that could go, you know, both ways.
When I used to work at the Career Center, we had one role that was for field study. So it was our career peer consultant program, where they were learning how to do career counseling, critique resumes, deliver workshops to student groups. And then we also had another student role at the Career Center that was work study position. And those were people who were greeting students, helping them when they first came in, that kind of thing. So in the past, if students really loved working at the Career Center, they might start off as a field study student and they intern just for that year. Or in your case, it might just be for a quarter. And if you find out that they have work study, they can continue to work there now, instead for credit, now get paid if you're able to provide that 15%, fee or what have you. And so then you're able to keep students. We had students at the Career Center that would work there for 4 years. So the entire time they were in college, they were also working part-time there. And the benefit of just training them once and having them stay for 4 years was huge. It was a big help.
And I think it's probably a relationship, once again, what your internship really is and what your work study job really is. You kind of have to if the internship is for a short period of time, it's for class credit or whatever, then if you want to roll that into a work study position, I mean, so they kind of go hand in hand. I don't know that we actually fund a true internship position, if that's what you're asking. But it would be just as Daphne said, they could roll into that after their internship, or maybe do work study first, then do the internship. I mean, they kind of complement one another.
They just can't get, I don't think they can use the same hours and
No.
get credit and pay for the same
Right.
10 hours. So if they want to do 20
Yes.
hours, they can do 10 and 10. Is there another question I think on this side?
There's some point in it.
I was just gonna add, it's kind of backtracking, but as to the relationship with students, I know I'm a student here, and I started with legal aid, and I kind of just been working with legal aid. And for me, my issue on getting internships or even work study, I didn't do work study, but I know people who have. The issue is that a lot of places weren't getting back to them. I liked with legal aid that they got back to me so quickly, like right after I went to a field study there, I got an email saying, oh, let's set up the time, let's set up an appointment, we want to meet you. But even for some of them, I'm interested in law, so I applied to a lot of the law firms, and I can only speak for myself, but the law firms never got back to me. And I feel like I was qualified for some positions, so I think definitely getting back to your students and communicating with them is always a good idea.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's a very good point. The benefit is not to, well, let's not say that. The benefit is to both the student and the employer. The student hopefully is getting experience in a field that they're interested in, or getting a taste of what specialty they might think they want to go in, and then learn that, oh, I don't want to do that, or learn, oh, this is what I want to do. But truly the benefit is also the employer's getting a break. They're getting a salary break. So for you to actually go after that work study student is to your benefit, because it's not only are you hiring somebody, but you're actually getting some funding from the federal government to pay for that student. So it truly is not, to not outreach to those students is really kind of a crime in my eyes, because they're really putting it all out there, and they're bringing an award to you that is a benefit. And if people aren't reaching out to them, then that's not good. It's a good point. Thank you for that. I hadn't heard that before.
All right. Oh,
I'm sorry,
sure.
can I follow up on that? So you would be suggesting that maybe our field study program should talk to our sites, or maybe if it's field study versus work study, that maybe we should remind our field study partners to, even if they get applicants or resumes from potential interns, to at least follow up with some kind of courtesy email or something that says.
Yeah, just so you don't have it sitting out there, because I know for me it was an issue having to figure out where I was, because I had these applications sitting out there. I understand it does take some time to go through them, and people in the office totally understand that. But it got to a point that it's like after a month you have like one sitting out here, one sitting out here, and one sitting here, and it just, you get to a point that it's like you just cut it down to whoever pretty much got in contact with you.
Good. Thanks for sharing that.
All right, so for our remaining 20 minutes, would love to do kind of more of a sharing of best practices. So this next thing is to talk about the field study opportunities that you have. And so I'll leave this. For those of you who haven't met yet before, I'm Daphne Felicitas. I'm an alum from UCI, so I did a field study program, and it helped me figure out what I don't want to do. But it was still extremely valuable, and then I came back to the campus and worked with Bob at the Career Center, so worked a lot with students and helping them find internships that were meaningful for them and connecting them to the workplace, as well as help a lot of employers and organizations in Orange County in making their internships more meaningful. Now I'm on the other side, and I am one of the field study sites. So now I work at Oakley, which is in South Orange County in Foothill Ranch. And so we have mostly psychology and social behavior students at our site, and they're all interning in our HR department. So in our community service, they're helping learning recruiting, they're helping with orientation and onboarding and stuff like that. So they're learning about psychology applied to kind of, I know it is more of the for-profit world, but it's still within the for-profit world, the people that love helping people, right? So would love to share some highlights about best practices across organizations and industries. So we'll do this in kind of like pairs and then large group discussions as well, so some combination. So if you wouldn't mind, first start so that you guys can get a chance to know each other. Just share your name, your organization, maybe the size of your field study, whether you have one student or however many students you tend to take from field study. Would you mind starting?
Sure. Hi, my name is Marilyn Bernie. I am a volunteer coordinator for CSP. I work directly with the Dispute Resolution Services. Our department is a little unique in that the internships that we do offer, there is a previous training that all students interested or volunteers have to take, and that's in the dispute resolution to become a mediator. But the benefit
becoming mediators. So that's a really good opportunity for them. We do only accept about maybe 2 to 3 interns. So I mean, just because our training and it costs a lot of money, you know, with the whole training and putting them in the courts and things like that. So we only take about 2 to 3 at the very most of interns, but we do that every semester or every quarter. But we love our volunteers, and we've noticed that a lot of the students do become very involved, and they after their internship they do become volunteers for our department. And then there's other departments also at CSP, and they're different and different training. But that's pretty much what I do at CSP and how we offer internships.
Thank you. Jane?
I'm Jane Dawson with the County of Orange, and I'm a central contact for the county. We have 22 agencies and departments, so they all coordinate their own individual internship programs, or at least 19 of our agency departments. We place about 1,200 students every year, not all from UCI. I wish they were all from UCI. But we have great students from UCI, but we usually place about 1,200 students. It could be with our sheriff's department, public defender, DA, healthcare agency, we have board of supervisors, you know, you name it, we have students just about in all of our departments. You know, I get a lot of feedback from students about the experience. I'm not working directly with them once they're placed, so it's more of providing resources and information for our staff who are coordinating the internships and really how they can provide the best experience for the students. My main challenge there sometimes is having students not apply early enough, because with so many of our departments they have to go through orientation, training, extensive background checks, and that's a real challenge that I'm trying to
Sometimes what we've done, we'll get students who apply. We tend to fill our internships pretty quickly because the students, to me, that applied early are on top of it. They're on top of their schedule. So if it's the end of that quarter and we've already filled our spot, sometimes I'll say, you can still go through the process, but for the next quarter, because they might have interest, but they didn't realize all the things that went into the hiring process or how quickly they'd be filled.
Right.
So.
They get really excited. I'll get their application material a couple weeks before they want to start. We can't do it, but that's a great point to just
Roll them into the next.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of students who will stay on to do a second internship. It may not be for credit, but they just want to stay in experience. So yeah, it's been really a positive experience for the county. We have staff, our managers and staff, many of them who started out as interns and are working with the county, including Supervisor Wood, who started out as a UCI intern and is now one of our supervisors.
Awesome. Thank you.
My name is Yasmin. I'm in options domestic violence. Supervisor at the emergency shelter. Currently have 5 interns that work with children in morning hours on the therapeutic choice program. But I do not think we have any work study, but I still thought that would be a benefit to have that longer term. But all of our interns have stayed from September to
Nice. Great. Thank you. You guys want to introduce it? Just
Yes.
introduce anyway.
Yourself.
Yeah. for anyone.
Hi, this is Lisa Pinelli. Hello there. And I'm Cammie Wang. We're from the Office of Student Services in Social Ecology. And through our office is where we administer the field study program. We want to first of all thank our field site partners again for being here today. And we run field studies basically all year long, especially even through the summer when we have it for summer sessions. And how many sites do we now have? I think the last count was over 300
just doing introductions, so just name and the organization that you're representing and how many field study students you're taking.
No, we're just students.
Oh, you're students. Okay. Okay, so you're just listening and kind of
Yeah.
sitting in. Okay. So
You're not just students.
you're not just students. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we're from the Legal Aid Society of Orange County. We also have other offices. We have one in Anaheim, Compton. So we kind of refer people out. But currently in our office, the Santa Ana office, we have 4 students from UCI, 2, one including myself. We just kind of volunteer an internship there whenever we get a chance to. And then we have 2 students that are going for credit in their field study. And we also have other students in other departments, but as to that, I'm not really sure because we focus on like small claims issues, family law issues, so it kind of varies. There's also health aspects that we have legal aid, so it kind of varies. So they may have more interns, but I know that the health department has more.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Chanel Bradley. I'm with the Blind Children's Learning Center, and we are a nonprofit organization that services blind, visually impaired, and deafblind children ages 0 to 6. And we have presently about 5 UCI students, and within this fiscal year, we've had close to 10. And we have a lot of internship opportunities. We have probably like 3 or 4 work study students, not with UCI, but we're hoping to possibly merge into that. And a lot of the opportunities are really in the classroom because that's where most of the need is. We have an on-site learning center as well as clinical hours where specialists and therapists see students and clients. And so the classroom, being that it functions a lot like normal schools, there's a lot of need for extra hands. And so that's where a lot of work studies and interns spend their time. And we have so many opportunities that they can get plugged into. And as a volunteer coordinator, my job is really to find what is a good fit for them and get them in the right place. And at least 2 or 3 of the current volunteers that we have were previous UCI interns with us. So we really appreciate having them on our
Awesome.
center.
Thank you.
My name is Melissa. I am located at KidWorks as a volunteer coordinator there. Currently we have, I want to say, about 6 UCI field study this quarter. We've had several over the fiscal year. UCI is like a great resource for us to get volunteers. And KidWorks, we kind of were there to serve the communities and families of Santa Ana, kind of just based only KidWorks, kind of really building up that community in the at-risk neighborhoods there. So for our volunteers and our field study interns, we have them work with our preschoolers. We kind of serve the whole family, so we do preschool all the way K through 12, college, parents. We serve the whole entire family. So it's good for our interns that they can kind of specialize in what areas they're really interested in. They're interested in the young ones, and preschool they can really be an intern there or do the K through 12th grade and after school programs we have. And if they're more interested maybe in the Latino population of parents, they can definitely work with our parents there. So it's good kind of for our UCI field study interns to kind of be exploring and seeing what interests them. We do have a really big community engagement department too, so we actually have 2. Riley, I think one of the coordinators of this whole conference, she's our intern at KidWorks in the community engagement department, so she's been there for about I think 3 quarters, almost a year, and so she's getting really involved with that. So it's just a really good opportunity for our field study.
Thank you.
I was just going to mention, I think we did have some UCI work study at the Blind Children's Center in the past. So I'd be interested to know why they, I hope they come back again, because we haven't for a few years.
There is a lot of staff changes that happen, so I think that may be one of the biggest reasons. And this year we did something a little bit different than we've done
right, so just have a couple slides to go through, but how we'll do this is we'll just kind of pair up. And the goal here is to share some best practices among all the community partners so that maybe there might be something another organization is doing and it spurs an idea and it inspires you to do something and take a twist on your organization that can make your internships more meaningful for your organization. So I know the two of you wouldn't mind pairing up, and then would you mind moving over? Maybe the two of you could work. Would you mind working legal aid with maybe human options, and then the two of you? That way, you guys can also, if you feel like joining any group, just to like kind of chime in and listen in, and the same thing with the students. If you guys want to chime into any one of the groups, that way you guys can give your opinion, share your thoughts with the community partners as well. The first one that we'll do is called Bridging the Classroom to the Workplace. That's what a lot of students are trying to get out of their field study experience is, test out what they're learning in school and how does that apply. And so how can you achieve this at your site? Any best practices? So with your pairs, just discuss for like 1 or 2 minutes any things that you do that might share and spur ideas for your other community partner. Okay? Bridging the classroom to the workplace. Do one of you want to join the two of them here? One of you want to join the two of them? And then one of you want to join the two of them? Do you mind? Okay, awesome. Perfect. There's one on this side. Everything from the public defender's office to, all that, and then CSP community service programs. Yeah. In case you want to take notes. In case you want to take notes. In case you want to take notes, I just have it. Make sure that you've switched if you haven't switched already. I don't want to bore you. Huh? Yeah, oh my gosh, of course. I think if you get new. We're going to continue the conversation. I'm just going to flip the question now. So the next question is this one. How can you at your site connect them to the bigger picture? So what are things that you do at your site to connect interns to the bigger picture? Okay, to the purpose of your organization, to the work that you guys are doing, the goals that you're doing. How can you connect your interns to the purpose and the bigger picture of your organization? What are practices that you do for that? Okay, so go ahead and take the next 2 minutes, 1 to 2 minutes. Discuss that in your pairs or in your small groups. Okay, the next one is about meaningful work. So for all of our sites, sometimes this is the part that it's easy to get, to make sure you're tying what they're learning in the school to the meaningful work that they're doing there. So in projects that we've done at our work, when our team is creating a new project or a new program and we're doing the strategy work all the way to the design work of whatever that might be, we involve our interns to sit in and shadow. We invite them to share stuff that they learned in school and how can that influence what it is that we're covering. And then we also give them the chance to also practice presenting, practice pitching their ideas, in front of a team. And so how can you provide meaningful work at your site and any best practices? Okay, so go ahead and discuss that in your groups.
I didn't really come prepared for this, so I kind of like I was like confused by that one.
All right, so we're out of time. So before we kind of wrap it up, would love to just cover a couple more points with all of you. All right, let's wrap it up really quick. We're going to get you over to the speed connections, which are happening in the Doheny rooms. So unfortunately, we'll be able to talk about this, but at least it's on your handout so you have it. I'll cover these points really quickly. One of them, too, that's a best practice is for the community partners to manage both role of managing work and mentoring the students. So on the managing work, sometimes this is the first time they're really working on some really big projects in the workplace. And so this is a chance for you to really manage the work they're doing, giving them some honest feedback, teaching them along the way. And then with mentoring, tying in and getting connected to what are your interns, what are their career aspirations? Where do they want to go? How can you connect them to people in the business and really foster their learning? So the next one is get them involved. And so whatever it is, we treat our interns on the site just like anyone on the team. So if the team is going off-site for team building, we invite the interns with us. Even if it's, I know for some nonprofits you can't do an extravagant team building, but if it means, hey, every Friday we're going to go to lunch together. And it's just inviting them and making them feel like they're a part of that team. We also have different kinds of events that we host. So whether we're having a seminar or we're having something going on or there's going to be the CEO is going to come and talk, So if you guys have staff meetings, get them involved as if they were part of the team so they can really feel what that immersion feels like in your organization. And then lastly, help them build their network. This was the thing that we struggled the most with our interns. And so our field study students would come to work almost like they were showing up for class. They would come to work and they were waiting for a very long list of all the projects they were going to work on. And sometimes the workplace is, here are some projects that you're going to work on, and the rest is, what do you want to work on? What do you want to develop? And our interns weren't as used to saying, I'm studying this and I'd really love to find a way to learn how this applies at the workplace. We did have some students who really took the initiative and said, I know that my internship is in HR, but I also want to learn about business. Can I meet with people in business? I said, awesome. So I set them up for meetings with people on the business side of work, just so that they could begin to learn what other career paths might take. So it's something as easy as teaching them how to reach out for an informational interview, how to ask someone for coffee or for lunch to go learn about their career path. But we stress to them, hey, it's not up to us to figure out who you'd like to meet with. It's up to you to figure out who you'd like to meet with, and I'll connect you to those people. So teaching them how to build their network. At Oakley, that happens a lot through exercise. So going for a run, going for a hike, and playing basketball during lunch. Like, those are ways that people build their network there. And in every organization, that's different. Sometimes it's a Starbucks office, and the best way to build your network is to go to Starbucks with somebody. So those are some best practices that I'd really recommend that you reflect on. How do you tailor this to your organizations and what that looks like? So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I want to make sure we get you over to the Doheny rooms for the networking connection. So thank you.
Thank you.